Hello friends, in this Point presentation, I'd like to show you how certain improvisations which I adopted during the procedure helped me to successfully tide over a particularly difficult case. This patient had a hypermature cataract and there were stippled areas of random calcification of the anterior capsule that reminded me of a starlit sky. So after staining the anterior capsule with trypan blue and giving sufficient time for the trypan blue to take, I carefully fashioned a 2.8 millimeter clear corneal incision. I know that the main challenge in this case would be to successfully complete the capsular rhexis over this fibrotic capsule, and therefore when I puncture the center of the capsule with my bent cystotome, I drag it towards the side, and while I'm trying to elevate the flap, I find there is a certain amount of resistance and I run into an area of fibrosis. So it is at that point that I improvise and start tearing in the clockwise direction, which is not the usual way in which I perform the capsular rhexis. Anyway, this gambit paid off, and I find that I'm able to successfully carry on the rhexis to about half to 3/4 of its entire extent till I hit a pocket of liquid cortex. At this point, I exchange the cystotome to a Utrada forceps, knowing that I would get a better traction, control, and a nice pull with this instrument as opposed to a cystotome. And this improvisation of tearing in the clockwise instead of the usual anti-clockwise direction has helped me tide over the problem of completing the capsular rhexis. I find that this rhexis is a little small because there is a large brown hard cataract underlying this, and therefore I make a small snip and gently extend the capsular rhexis till I am sure that the rhexis opening is sufficient for me to work on this hard cataract. Now, I have noticed that in many of these hypermature hard cataracts, they tend to be leathery and not brittle. And therefore, a direct chop sometimes does not work so effectively, although I'm going to try to do a direct chop because that's the technique I've been using most of the time. So I bury the phaco tip into the hard nucleus. I'm using a burst mode phaco and a pretty high energy of 60%, and I'm using a 1.75 millimeter sharp tip chopper. And although I'm able to initiate the crack, I'm finding it difficult to make this crack extend through and through and to create a crack in the base plate. There's another thing I realized is in these leathery cataracts, you have a better success or better chance of success if you initiate the crack close to the equator of the lens. Okay. This is because when you do a kind of a horizontal chop, the compressive forces helps to break down this nucleus faster. So I do my second improvisation at this point. I switch over to a horizontal chop and I switch over to an instrument which is known as the ball dialer, but in instrument catalogs it is called the Tennant's nucleus manipulator. And I proceed performing a horizontal chop, and to my great surprise, I find that it's much easier. Of course, you know that this nucleus is a small, tight, hard, mobile nucleus, and therefore with a gentle pull the equator of the nucleus can be exposed and you can safely do a horizontal chop. The horizontal chop helps me to get through this hard nucleus, this hard amorphous nucleus, with a considerable amount of ease. In fact, this has now become my standard technique whenever I handle these small, hard mobile nuclei. So I generally initiate the crack and then I switch over to a horizontal chop. And I find it is much more comfortable and easy to do so. Also, the blunt end of the ball dialer will definitely be safer to the posterior capsule than using a long sharp tip chopper. Because these are shrunken capsules, the anterior capsule as well as the equator is little shrunken. The bag itself tends to be slightly contracted and it's very easy to hit the posterior capsule. And this is the reason why in these types of cataracts you don't have trampolining of the posterior capsule, because it is shrunken and fibrotic. There is, you notice, a considerable amount of chemosis or conjunctival ballooning, and what I do is at the region of the two ports, that is the main port and the side port, I create small radial cuts in the conjunctiva. These radial snips of the conjunctiva I make sure goes through the T-knots, and this is sufficient to make sure that the fluid will leak out and the chemosis will subside. Because having a conjunctival chemosis will lead to pooling of fluid over the surface of the cornea, which will make visualization very difficult. And somehow it also tends to increase the gape of the corneal wound, because your angle of entry in the anterior chamber will also change. You can see how the chemosis is completely settled down now, and the conjunctiva is lying flat just with these three radial snips. So the IOL is then injected into the capsular bag. And due care is taken to wash out all the viscoelastic from within the capsular bag, behind the lens and the anterior chamber before concluding the case. So my learning in this, or the message I want to send across, is that we may sometimes need to improvise during a surgical procedure in order to get a better surgical end result and to enhance our own understanding of the complicated or complex world of phacosurgery. I thank you all for your attention.